have Dr. Erson Religioso the third. Did I pronounce that right?
Religioso.
Religioso. So the R is silent, I think. Oh, the G
Yes.
is silent.
The G is an H,
The G is an H. Yeah.
right? The R
So
is definitely not silent.
the R is not yet. Yeah. So he's a doctor in physical therapy. He holds faculty positions for Damon College, SUNY Buffalo, woo, my alma mater, and Deweyville College. He has a blog called The Manual Therapist, where he shares clinical case studies, treatment ideas, and resources for PTs around the world. He's going to share with us today how he was able to leverage his blog and social media to build a community of fans around his websites and attract referrals to his private practice. Hello, Dr. E, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, Sam.
So, can you give us a quick biography about yourself, professional background? That would be great.
Okay, well, I graduated in '98 with my BS and MS from DUville, and I was interested in manual therapy. So at the time, on my last clinical, I told the head of the program that I was thinking about being a chiropractor. So he said, "Have you ever heard of Dr. Stanley Paris?" And I said, "No." So he handed me a brochure for the University of St. Augustine, and they were one of the first in the nation to have a DPT program. And it was in conjunction with a residency, which eventually became a fellowship, but there's no difference at the time in '99. So I joined that program immediately after I graduated, and I got a DPT with a specialty in manual therapy. And I pretty much stayed in Buffalo because I did my residency there, year-long residency, and then I had some good opportunities to become faculty at UVille, and then eventually Damon and then UB, because wherever my mentor went and he school hopped, I followed along in his footsteps. And then I worked in private practice, managing a private practice for 10 years for someone before, until about 2 years ago when I decided to go out on my own. And now I'm a consultant. I follow the consultant model, so I'm a contractor. I work inside someone else's kind of brick and mortar physical practice, and I just get paid per patient. So when I left, I needed to basically be as Googleable as possible, because I noticed every time I Googled myself, it was just a bunch of anonymous websites like Health Grades, and I don't even know who sets up these websites and how they get your information. But every time I Googled myself, there was at least 5 or 6 websites that had my old address on it, and sometimes it wasn't even my old address. Sometimes it was the address of the main corporation, like the corporate headquarters, and that was wrong because I never even worked there.
Mm.
So I just turned to social media to increase my search engine optimization so my former patients could find me, because if they called the old place, they sure didn't tell them where I was.
Mm, okay. Wow. So is that how you got kind of started into blogging, and how you created the manual therapist?
Well, actually, I started blogging because I had a tool, a stainless steel tool called the Edge. At the time, it was called the Foscillator. And when I was coming out with the version, probably 1.5, I was designing it with a student's CAD program, as he had access to a metal manufacturer and a CAD program. Then he ended up, when the final run was produced after he designed it, we were supposed to go 50-50 on it. And he actually took the design, bought all of them, and then wanted to sell me half of them for double what the manufacturer was charging us.
Wow.
So he got like a 3-month jump on the market on me, and then his tool ended up being reviewed on MikeReinhold.com, and that was about 2.5 years ago. One of my students said, "Hey, this thing that you're selling on eBay and only locally, it was reviewed on like the biggest PT blog on the planet." And I'm like, "There are PT blogs?" Like I didn't even know. So he said, "You should start blogging to bring more awareness to your tool." So at first I started blogging to basically be a commercial for my Edge tool, and then it kind of turned into a thing all its own, and I became an online mentor, and I realized I had a lot to offer with my skill set and my education. So what eventually, I actually don't even talk about the Edge that much. I mention it during treatments, but it's in its entire separate page, and most of the blog is free, and I just teach cases or thought processes or different techniques and how to help certain patients or different ways to assess. So I started blogging initially as a commercial, and then it just kind of blew up from there.
Wow. And the edge tool, do you have an edge tool with you?
Um, Not well, I do, but I'd have to run and go get it if you don't mind.
I want people to see it because it's
Okay.
kind of interesting.
All right. I will be right back.
All right. Yeah, Dr. E has a edge tool. It's a soft tissue mobilization tool, and when I first saw it, it looks like brass knuckles. And um, when you go to a site, up there it is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I just had to go into my stock.
Nice.
So I had for anyone who disputes that my tool is the original out of the stainless steel tools that come out of Buffalo, New York, um, you can look at the chronology and even the faculty members that I've known for a long time. I started working with tools about 5 or 6 years ago when a chiropractor, I was treating his son, and he was faculty member of a local chiropractic college, and he saw that I was doing tissue work and manipulation, so he was very impressed that he didn't know PTs could do that. So he brought in his $3,000 set of Graston tools, and when he said, "Oh yeah, scrape against your skin and see what you feel," and there's quite a different feel when you use steel versus your hands, and I was also interested as a hand saver, and when I found that the price of the tools were $3,000, which is $500, you get $500 off for taking the course, and you can only buy them if you take the course. I thought there's got to be a different way, so I kind of started with wood, and then I made several crude versions through manufacturers, and eventually decided to mass produce it and kind of become an entrepreneur and sell it online. So that's how I made it. It looks like that. I mean, I don't want it to be a commercial. If you wanted to look it up,
Yeah.
I have videos. I have videos on YouTube. I have streaming instructional videos, but it's the-edgetool.com, and that's also you can find that on my blog, themanualtherapist.com.
I'll have all the links to the edge tool below the video on the blog post so people can go check it out. Now you have a membership site also called the OMPT channel. Tell us a little bit about that and how that got started.
Well, also to bring more awareness to my blog, everyone knows that YouTube is kind of like the site to go to, other than Google, to basically find any kind of visual information. You miss anything, you just look it up on YouTube. So I started putting instructional videos up on that. Again, very few on edge, a lot on manipulation. Anytime I taught a course, like a soft tissue course or a manipulation course, I made my videos available to my students. So at around like 120 videos, and some of them run 4 minutes, some of them were running 20 minutes, I had a manual therapy fellow I was training, because I trained in 3 fellowship programs, and he showed me some apps that he paid for that were $40 each. And he said, and I looked at the videos, I'm like, well, they don't look really any better than mine. And he said, I would pay for your videos. And I thought, okay, maybe other people will. And I was pretty much filming videos anyway. It's like if I have a cancellation, I just take my camcorder, I grab my students, I start filming videos. Since I was doing it anyway, I just figured if I could turn it into a source of passive income. I took about 80 of my videos down. I left about 45 on there. I still, upload to YouTube maybe once a month, but for my channel, I upload longer videos, more instructional videos, and sometimes they're even whole live treatments of patients, like that go 30 minutes. I didn't even start to promote it until I had about 2 or 3 hours of videos on there now. So I probably upload 2 or 3 videos a week. It's $4.99 a month. I think that's pretty reasonable. And there's you can join a month, you can join a year. So it was something I was doing anyway, and I just figured it was another means to get passive income and to kind of bring more awareness to my particular approach.
You know what's interesting? I remember when I was in PT school and looking at some of the manual therapy books and just trying to get an idea from just looking at the pictures how to do some of those techniques. And now that you're doing these videos and you're actually demonstrating how to do these techniques, I think that's going to probably be the future of how PT schools will probably start as far as like with textbooks and incorporating video on how to do a lot of the manual techniques
Right.
because it was just so hard when you look at the book, the textbook, and then you're trying to when you're in clinicals and trying to do some of those techniques on in lab. So I think I think in the future we'll probably start seeing more people adopt your style of using different types of techniques or showing different types of manual techniques or whatever type of treatment techniques, and using the video as a medium to demonstrate that.
Yeah. And I feature the same thing for patients too, because whether you're students, you're a PT, or you're patient, there's basically three types of learners, right? There's like a visual learner, a tactile learner, an auditory learner, and basically, it's why I don't give handouts. I give handouts to people. The only thing that really makes some people better is practice. But it's a really easy thing to just take your smartphone, or to even take your patient's smartphone. If they don't have a smartphone, I film it on mine and I upload it to YouTube. I make it private and I give them the link. And that works a lot better than here's a static piece of paper with either like really like static moving pictures with one step of an entire exercise,
Right.
or here's like my stick figure, because if you don't even have like the software, or like the stupid little like Xerox things, you place all the little cards together, then you Xerox it, if you're old school. I never
Yeah.
really believed in that, because it actually took more time to make those copies, even if it was software, than to just practice it with the patients over and over again.
Right.
So I think it's just another way. That's another way I was using YouTube for exercise.
Well, and that's what people nowadays are kind of used to. They're kind of used to going on their mobile phone and looking at a YouTube video, and that's kind of how they're using the technology. So it's kind of current with what we're using today. So it just makes sense,
Yeah.
you know. So let's talk about patients and how now we're starting to see more patients go online. They're looking up information on their diagnosis, on a lot of their musculoskeletal injuries. Um, what do you think PTs need to do to their websites in order to attract patients that are going out on the web and looking for information on things that may be related to their diagnosis or their functional capability, well, not functional capability, but their functional
Limited.
problems and things like that.
Yeah. Well, in general, I think you know many many places have a website, but the one unique thing about a blog, it's a specific type of site that it's always updated, and whether that's your main page, which would just be a blog, or you have like a static home page, which is kind of like every time you go to Amazon, it's always Amazon. Or every time you go to Google, it's Google. But when you go to a blog like mine, like the Manual Therapist or Physio Answers, the main page is constantly changing with constantly updated posts or news. So it's there's no reason, and it's also another reason why I started my blog. It's because once you bought a tool from me, there's really no reason ever to go back to a store unless you need another tool. So when you keep either your readers engaged or your patients engaged, depending on who your audience is, if you always post little tidbits about back pain or neck pain, or here's another thing to keep you healthy, or don't forget to do your exercises, or here's a video on this condition, if it's something they can continuously go back to, they'll always be engaged with your practice, because many times, I mean, if you're doing a good job, your patient's going to remember you. But otherwise, unless they happen to have pain, they're not really, there's no reason for them to keep you constantly in mind. I mean, you're more likely to refer family and friends also if you have, videos in your website. So, I other than my manualtherapist.com, I also created just a blog with a static homepage that's just myname.com. So, that also has like all my products, all my pages, and my particular approach. So whether if you're a PT looking for manual therapy courses, I have that info on there. My patients who go on there, there's demonstration videos of the assessments and the treatments I use, so patients aren't necessarily scared, because I whip this thing out. I always introduce it first, like, hey, this looks really daunting, but it's mainly just to save my hands. And they're like, oh yeah, I saw that on your page before I even came to see you, and they can even see that my particular approach is different, because maybe they went to a practice where they weren't even touched, and they they just had ultrasound e-stim and they did an hour of exercises by themselves, and the PT maybe said hi to them if they were lucky, and here's your exercise card. So, if you have something unique to offer, whether it's just with pictures and a blog post or videos, videos definitely speak, way more than just a picture could. So, I try to have a couple videos up for patients, but patients could even if they see you teaching a particular technique, or educating someone on a particular exercise and why that may be indicated for a certain condition, they're more likely to come to you. So I had a funny story actually. There's a patient who I was recently seeing. I was mainly seeing for cervical issues. She had some radiating right arm pain, and she's about 80% better. And her shoulder range of motion was actually pretty good. I thought I had ruled that out initially. So she loves Dr. Google, and that's initially how she actually found me, is because she was just so sick of seeing other practitioners. She found me on YouTube, she went to my website, she started reading it, she made an appointment with me. So she said that in the first visit, and I said, okay, well, that's enough Googling, you just have to listen to me. I'm like the dictator now, and just to control all variables, you just do whatever I say. So she's about 90% better, neck pain mostly better, but her shoulder kept on bothering her. So I was working on different things, and then probably about maybe 8 visits in, she comes in, she said, hey, you know what, I know you're not going to like this, but I found a video online, and it showed particular shoulder exercises, and I started doing them, and now after just a couple sets, I'm 100% better. And I said, okay, well, what was it? She's like, actually, it was you. It was your website, and it was a shoulder video, and it was an exercise you never showed me. So
Wow.
even though it wasn't really you, it was still you. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's okay. But yeah,
Wow.
so I was like, well, that's just the power of the internet. I ended up treating her without even really treating her. That was just a non-billable visit.
That's amazing. And I mean, it's a testament to the fact of how, the mindset of someone that has this problem and they go to Google and they're looking for answers and they just happen to stumble upon your content, and, the content happened to be something that they can relate to, and from there that they start this process of following you, trying to find out more about you. They start digging more into your websites and finding more content, and picking up the phone and calling you to see if they can come into your practice.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're starting to see now, with how patient and healthcare, the direction that it's moving to. People are looking for answers, and they're not waiting to let their doctors tell them where they should go. They're going to the internet and they're looking up information, and they're looking to see who is the most capable practitioner that can help them solve their problems.
yeah. Whether it's patients finding me, patients have been finding me. Former patients have been finding me much easier, because after starting my blog, and that gets a decent amount of hits per day, that increased my SEO, which is search engine optimization, and then I decided to turn to Twitter and to Facebook too to really harness the power of social media. So I ended up linking those two accounts together, because some people like Twitter better, some people like Facebook better. I personally like Facebook better because I feel like I get more comments on it. It's easier to comment, and it's not just limited to 140 characters. So, but I link them both together, and anytime I post something on my blog, that automatically gets posted to Google Plus, which then goes to Twitter, which then goes to Facebook. And I would just caution that if you do link all your accounts together, if you have someone do it for you, that they're only linked one way and not both ways, because there is a PT I know who every time we post something, it posts 5 times, because like all his accounts are linked together and they all keep on like posting back and forth to each other.
Gotcha.
So there's sometimes there's no way around that, and I actually have to manually delete one of my Twitter things, because after Twitter goes to Facebook, my Facebook goes back to Twitter.
So
So
in other words, what you're saying is, if you post in one social media outlet, it'll blast out to all the social media outlets.
yeah, and there's different ways to do that, and I'm sure if someone doesn't know how to do that, your business could help them with that. So I found that very helpful, and I'll try to do certain things on Twitter and Facebook that I don't do in my blog. If it's just a quick snippet of information or a quick quote, or this product is coming, or this is a sale. If you like my page, or if you share, first person to share, gets like $10 off an Edge tool or something like that. It's just a different way to engage more readers, and the more people that share, it's basically like free advertising. So basically, the more shares you get, the more hits you get, the further up you appear in the search engine rankings, now that I Google myself, there's a ton of different things. I have many different websites. I have like 4 different Facebook pages. I have 2 Twitter accounts. So I just make sure that when you Google me, that it's like me and it's my address. And it's not my dad who has the same last name, or it's not my dad's like 3 Facebook accounts that he set up at different times, and he only keeps one of them active. It's not healthgrades.com. Because trust me, I contacted them and they're like, "Oh, it takes like 6 months to change." I'm like, "What takes 6 months to change in the internet?"
Yeah,
like nothing should take 6 months to change.
Yeah, well, it takes a while for it to come off Google's index. I mean, they can take it off.
Well, that's the problem too, because even when they went to go change it, Google's index is still old.
Yeah, it takes a while for Google to de-index a lot of those links.
Yes, it does. So the other thing that social media did for me, which was very surprising, was that it made my business partner call me the worst marketer in the world, because if he has a couple cancellations, he still feels like he has to go out to see docs, and he's always bringing them cupcakes, and sometimes our office isn't even open because he's like not a tech savvy guy, and he doesn't even call. His phone has like the phone app, and that's it, even though it's a smartphone. And sometimes he comes back, and we just call it marketing to Erson, because he just like ends bringing me back brownies because like their office isn't open. But even if he goes to contact them, it's like every doctor is always nice and their office is nice, but they get marketed to 1 billion times a day, and you're just some Joe Schmo walking in the door. So I don't market to people, and we just mainly do our marketing through doing a good job, because about 50 to 75% of our caseload is self-referred with direct access, and a lot of that is actually just, hey, you know what? Next time you come in, you don't need a script. You can come back for whatever you want. If anything new ever bothers you, it's something that I always start telling people around a third to the last visit, to make sure that they know they don't need a script, they don't need to see the primary. They can if they want, but they don't need it. And that's it's an added convenience.
So they won't need a new script to come back to see you.
Not in New York, no.
Okay.
Not in Buffalo. Like all our HMOs honor our direct access.
Okay.
So he calls me the worst marketer in the world because doctors, at least at this point, 5 doctors have called me, just the Google TMJ expert or manual therapist or something, and they just find me, and then they call me and ask me if I'm taking new patients. And even just this week, there's a guy waiting for me at the window, and I happen to have a cancellation. He's like, "Hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm a chiropractor. I watched all your YouTube videos. I thought you were in California. I didn't really think anything of it. That was like 6 months ago. Then I saw a new patient. She said she had this wooden thing that you gave her. She said she kept on mentioning your name, and he kept on saying, like, oh, the name sounds so familiar. And then he remembered watching my YouTube videos, and then he realized I was just down the street. Like, this guy, I could walk to his office. Wow. So, he's really interested in setting up patients, too. And it's just one of those things where, whether it's a doctor calling me or a doctor coming to visit me, there's so many people who have just found me on YouTube or just by Googling certain search terms. So, I don't. That is all my marketing, and it's free. I never had to pay for any of this.
You have doctors referring you instead of.
I do. Well, I work hard, and I work hard, and I just try to put myself out there as much as I can on the internet. So, but it's free, because advertising is prohibitively expensive for a small practice.
That's you didn't come out of pocket to create those YouTube videos. The only thing you invested was pretty much your time.
And all the video recording equipment, but that's just toys to me. So.
Right. So, Dr. E, I'm curious because I hear a lot of therapists say they don't have time to do a lot of the social media stuff. They think it's a waste of time, and you're a testament here and proof that social media and blogging does work, and you can generate referrals through the internet. So for someone that's pretty busy and says they don't have time, what can you tell them as far as just getting started, or at least changing their mindset into thinking that social media doesn't work, or they don't have time to do it, because I hear that often, and
Right.
uh, just to know
Well,
what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, most of us, especially if whether you're a therapist, a chiro, a trainer, massage therapist, personal trainer, um, we all engage our patients and clients. So there's a lot of different ways. I mean, some people may not be as tech savvy. Some people may not be able to type. I mean, I'm fortunate because I can type very fast. I'm very wordy. Um, I can crank out a post. I just try to make time to give myself half an hour a day to crank out a blog post. So and when I'm not writing a blog post, I'm always searching the internet, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, for other interesting things. If you follow enough interesting people, you'll always find interesting things to post. And even if all you're doing is reposting certain things, I would say, like, if you can find a time to blog at least once a week. I mean, I feel compelled to do it 5 days a week because now that I've been doing it for over a year and my readers expect that, I feel like there'll be this outrage if I don't do it, and if I lose readers, I lose business, and that's actually a significant portion of my income now. It actually keeps me at home. I do only work Monday through Thursday, and I work about 35 hours, but the rest of it, literally, I'm spending about 1 to 2 hours a night, just kind of combing the internet. And first my wife was just saying, like, you spend too much time on the computer, and then she saw that it was actually business, and I'm in the clinic a lot less. Now she's all for it. She just watches like Grey's Anatomy or something while I'm.
While you're
Well, yeah,
post.
right. But I realize not everyone is either that verbose or that tech savvy. But there's many different ways you can engage someone. My student who originally gave me the idea, and I got to give him a shout out, Paul Whistle. He was the one who told me about the my competitor's review on Mike Reynolds' blog. He just said you should start a blog, and his ideas were, and I agree with this. He's like, you could blog, you could do video casts or webcasts just like this. He's like, you could just get a digital audio recorder, and you can record yourself just talking about things on the way home on your commute. So. It only really has to be once a week. It has to be something engaging. We engage our patients and clients every day. It's just a way to keep them engaged and keep you in memory, because it's easier for fitness instructors or for chiros or for PTs who are mainly doing maintenance, but the majority of our patients as PTs, we discharge, and we really want to remain in their mind. So again, if there's something they can continuously check out, that's great. And so, figure out what your audience is. My audience just happens to be mostly physical therapists or chiros or athletic trainers and massage therapists, or people who are interested in manual therapy. But I do have a blog also for the public, which ironically isn't even as big. It's Physio Answers, and it's not as big because my audience is mainly PTs. But I have ways to engage all my clients. But I think the majority of practice owners who don't teach their own courses or have their own products to sell will just want to engage their patients. And I think that it's because it's something we do every day. You just have to find the way you can do it most efficiently, and it's really not that time consuming because, again, it's just free advertising. So I think you can save a lot of money. Like we stopped advertising in the phone book because
That's a big place.
most people it is so expensive.
Yeah.
You're getting 1 or 2 patients a year that basically said, I found you in a phone book.
I mean, I have a stockpile of phone books in my garage. I'm getting ready to throw them out. I mean,
I just throw it, as soon as I see it on my doorstep, I throw it right in a recycling bin.
yeah, I don't know why they still deliver them.
I know. So.
Yeah, so I guess basically for PTs that are that are wondering about the whole time issue of it's going to take too much time, maybe they should just focus, like you said, on maybe one thing. If you're not a writer, maybe you can do a video cast, or maybe a podcast. There's a lot of different mediums that you can use to kind of get started, that you can put out there to engage your visitors and just kind of have them interested in what you're doing, and so that way they can follow you, and you can kind of build a brand and a name for yourself, so that when they have any issues or any problems functionally, or musculoskeletal issues or whatever, they're thinking about you. So it's just a great way to keep your name out there.
I agree.
So any other opportunities that you were able to obtain as a result of blogging?
Yeah, there's a guy, Dr. Rick Daigle, who used to teach for Summit Education, which was one of the bigger Con Ed national companies, and I had requests after my blog really took off after about a year and a half to start teaching. But the thing is, New York State alone, it would cost at least $900 just to apply to be able to teach for Con Ed credits, and I have to go through this process. And people would say like, "Oh, my boss really wants to bring you out to LA, but if you don't offer Con Ed credits, even though we want you here, he doesn't really want to bring you in or host you." So Rick Daigle founded Medical Minds in Motion along with some other people, and they pretty much just asked on Facebook, like, we're looking for charismatic instructors who are also clinicians, and they wanted to follow a model of instructors who also had clinical hours as opposed to just people who are doing it for the money. It's like, this is how you treat patients, so even though we don't treat patients, So I said, hey, I'll teach for you guys. And he said, yeah, we're actually accredited in all 50 states, and that was my outlet. Again, I 3 or 4 years ago, my wife said, someday I think you're going to be teaching all around the nation. And I said, well, yeah, that would be great, but I have no idea how I'm going to do that. And, I don't know how people did it a long time ago. But again, if I hadn't started blogging and hadn't gotten my name out there, Rick said he was a big fan of mine. He said he was following my blog for a while, and he was happy to have me as faculty. So, so now I will be teaching all around the nation starting next year, and
Amazing.
I'm about to trademark my approach. Hopefully, the eclectic approach. I don't know if that's an available trademark, but and then my Edge tool is also going to be part of that, and I'm actually going to turn that into a whole system, the Edge mobility system. So. None of this would have happened if I hadn't done social media. So I'm very grateful to all my viewers and readers.
That's amazing. That's congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks. Maybe I'll see you. I'll definitely see you in Atlanta if you come to my course.
I'll come.
If you come to my course, we'll do lunch.
Definitely, definitely. Wow, that's a great story. So it's just people that are kind of on the fence. At least a lot of PTs that are on the fence of whether they should start a blog for their practice, or even if it's not for your private practice, you have a product or a CEU course and you're kind of on the fence. Just the information Dr. E was able to share with us today should give you a little bit of a reason to kind of get started, just a little nudge to kind of have you going in the right direction. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we head out?
No. But, other than the fact that obviously, Samuel, since my viewers will also be watching this and they're not aware of your products and they're obviously aware of my products, I think that if you do want to start a blog, Samuel offers those services to the less tech savvy. That's what.
Yes, we do have the PT Blog Academy for PTs out there that are looking to start a blog. I'm pretty much like holding hands. Well, not in that sense, but I'll hold your hand along every step of the way, because I know this is a lot of the tech stuff can be challenging, and I've been doing this for quite some time. So, the PT Blog Academy, we have tons of videos back there that kind of show you from A to Z how to set a blog up, how to promote it, how to integrate all your social media communities into your blog, what posts to write, frequency to write them. So all the stuff we have there, and it's I'll have those links below this video. And if you have any questions about it, you can feel free to contact me through my email on my blog. So this was a great interview. Dr. E, I'm very grateful to have you here and share a lot of this information with us. Anyone that wants to visit any of Dr. E's websites, I'll have all the links posted below this video, so you can go check them out. Any parting thoughts?
No.
All right.
Everyone just do more Google+. Google+ needs to take over the world.
Google+ is on its way. I think they're a little over 500 million users now, so they're in Facebook's rear view.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next show. Take care, guys.
See ya.